Welcome to Sound Bites. I'm your host, Holly Whitfield. Here I am with Brandon and Michelle O'Gwen. They are barbecue experts based in the Memphis area. They cook, they judge, they organize the competition portion of the Memphis MMA World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest, and more. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, doing real good today.
Awesome. This week, obviously, we're going to talk about all things Memphis barbecue. I've got a little bit of an intro to go through, but I'm going to make it snappy because y'all have some amazing stories to share. This episode of Soundbites is a companion kind of podcast to our Battle of the Barbecue series that the Daily Memphian is doing in the month of May. We have 2 guides published already, one for each of the big barbecue contests coming up. Memphis in May, May 15th through 18th, Smoke Slam, May 16th through 18th. We'll have several more stories in that Battle of the Barbecue series coming soon. Look for those. Second, Soundbites is the Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, and dining podcast. You can tune in on WYXR radio every Thursday at 11 or listen wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes or Spotify. You can also listen, of course, at dailymemphian.com. If you are listening now on WYXR, up next you can hear the Sidebar podcast with Daily Memphian CEO Eric Barnes. This week he's interviewing Ned Canty and Dennis Whitehead, darling from Opera Memphis. But let's really get started with Brandon and Michelle O'Gwen. They're going to open up their smoker, open up their grill lid, so to speak, and tell us what goes into the judging for what most Memphians call Barbecue Fest, but what really is actually a serious competition. And keep listening because we will also get their barbecue restaurant picks at the end. Again, thank y'all for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank
Glad
you.
to be here.
I'm going to jump right in like I like to do. Where are y'all from? Take us through your barbecue journey and how you met.
Well, I was a military brat, so I moved around the country growing up. And when I graduated high school, came back home to Memphis where a lot of my family was, and been here ever since. No parts back. Got involved with competition barbecue as a volunteer back in 2007. I had a friend of mine saying, "Hey, you're new to the city, you know, in the town that I just moved to in Arlington at the time, and I want to get me involved with some things." And after that, you know, a few years of volunteering, I decided that it looked more fun to cook than it did to do all that work. So I ended up joining a barbecue team. I probably think it was 2009. F&A Barbecue was the first team that I was a part of.
Mm-hmm. F&A Barbecue.
Yep. And then after a few years, the head cook schedule just, you know, shifted down or didn't work in his favor. So we ended up merging with another brother team, Ribcateers, who's actually no longer cooking as well. I got involved with Memphis in May as a volunteer in 2009 as well. And after so many years, I just felt it was just, you know, a good organization to be a part of. And actually, you know, in 2013, that's kind of how me and Brandon met. So I'll let him tell his story about how he got into barbecue.
Yeah, that is exactly how we met at Memphis in May. Let's see, I'm a born and bred Memphian. I grew up here, went to school here, went to the U of M. We're both alums, actually.
Yeah, go Tigers.
So go Tigers. Like I said, lifelong Memphian, been eating barbecue, grew up around barbecue. My dad cooked the first couple world championships back in the late 70s. He kind of got out once it got really expensive in the 80s and 90s. But we always cooked at home and all that kind of stuff. Been doing it my whole life. In 2013, I had a friend that was working for Memphis in May, and she reached out and said they needed some seasonal help. And I was between things, so I jumped on it and said, "Yeah, man, let's go work at Barbecue Fest and Music Fest. That'd be fun, right?" And it was. It turned out to be great. And then I met Michelle there. We hit it off. They sent me down to rescue the judging tent, which
we were just short on volunteers.
They were short on volunteers that year. And when you put on large scale events, you end up short on volunteers a lot. You don't realize how much behind the scenes actually goes into putting these things on. And that's how we met, and that's what we've been doing ever since.
And y'all have been married for?
Be 11 years this year.
Be 11 years this year.
That's awesome. Happy meeting story. Meet cute. That's what they're calling it.
Meet cutes.
So to be clear, the teams that you were on, Michelle, were not competing at Memphis in May.
Not under their own teams. A lot of times you'll see at Memphis in May, the smaller teams, they'll combine with other smaller teams and make a bigger team for event. One, share cost and to share the workload, because it is a lot of work for teams to compete down there.
Right. And the reason I'm asking is because then want to talk about how y'all got into judging and managing the whole judging system with Memphis MA. So you're not competing at Memphis MA, you're competing at other barbecue competitions, but you're handling all the judging with Memphis MA.
Yeah. So we've been competing together since 2013. I joined F&A Barbecue, and then we moved on from Ribketeers, and then
started our own.
when that team disbanded, we started our own team, Ain't It the Life. We've been cooking anything where you can fire up a grill or any kind of cooking device outside, we will do it. We've competed in every contest they've had around town. Burger Fest, Popper Fest, breakfast.
There was a taco one.
There was a taco one I did over at St. Michael's Church. That was real fun. So we compete in anything. And that's kind of how we got into the cooking portion of it. The judging portion of it, she was already working in the judging tent when we met, and I kind of got some experience through it that year. And it's just, we have been involved down there at Memphis in May ever since. We also run the Arlington Barbecue Contest, or organize it per se.
Evans in the fall in October.
That's in October every year, and that's another large contest with about 60 plus teams. So that's kind of where we got the experience to do it. And then like I said, we've now been doing this for 10
I've been
years.
in the judging tent in some role for the last 15 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think it's been 15 years. Before that, I was what they call an ambassador for the teams, where you just check on them, make sure they have everything they need, call in ice if they need it or whatnot. They had a need in the judging tent one year where they were, again, short volunteers, because it does take a lot of volunteers to manage that tent. Once I got in there, and I was enjoying actually being in the shade instead of walking around in the sun all day. And they saw that they needed help, and they needed some structure and organization to make things more streamlined and efficient. And that happened to be my background. I had an organizational leadership degree. So I took,
Perfect.
A lot of the things that I'm really good at and applied those steps and systems into place. And now that's how we've gotten the judging committee and organization much more well ran than it was in the past.
And so your roles now are?
We're labeled the vice chairs of the judging committee, but we really do the kind of representative stuff, which you'll see they call them contest reps at most other barbecue contests. So that means that we organize everything from what judges get assigned what categories, where the judges go on site, any interactions with the teams as far as if they have a question about a category, or if they have an entry, or if God forbid they get disqualified or something that doesn't fit within the rules, I'm the one that has to go deal with them. So we kind of do a little bit
we oversee the auditors that do the data entry, the scores into the program that tabulates the results and
The math.
all the math, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I was talking to some of my colleagues, and I was like, what do y'all want to know about Memphis MA's barbecue contest judging? And they were like, we don't know anything about it. We don't even know what question to ask. So I know y'all have a great elevator speech rundown of how the judging works and the categories. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, there's a lot of nuances to judging. Of course, there's a million little things that you can really put into it. But the high end overview is really that we do it, and this is unique to Memphis barbecue, is that we have a blind judging portion and an on-site judging portion. The blind judging portion is what you see in every other contest. It's what you see on Barbecue Pitmasters, where they put the meat in the styrofoam to-go container and they turn it into the judges, and that's what the judges score. We score that on taste, texture, appearance, and then finally overall impression. And then we move on to our on-site portion, which is where you actually get 3 judges that come to the teams one at a time. And then they get 10 minutes minimum, 15 minutes maximum to give them a presentation on how the product got brought from a raw to a fully cooked state. It's also their chance to tell the stories about their teams and any other good barbecue BS, as we like to call it.
Or they're meat cute.
That's where the stories come in, and that's where the what sets us apart from all other judging organizations like KCBS and SCA and all of them.
So that's Kansas City Barbecue.
Kansas City Barbecue Society, Georgia Barbecue Association, State Cook-Off Association, is that we have that interaction to where the teams actually get to tell the judges and sell their story and sell what they've done to the reason why they're serving them the greatest barbecue they've ever had in their lives. And that's what every team's trying to convince you of. And they're all trying to earn the magic 10, as we call it. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I could go into depth over numbers, but that's really kind of the view of it. We take the portion of the blind and then the on-site. We add those together in a specific ratio, and then that spits out our top 3 teams. And that's in each division of our whole hog, shoulder, and rib. Then those 9 teams total go and get 4 judges to see them all at once. That's our finals judges. And then those finals judges rank those guys 1 through 9, essentially. Number 1 is our grand champion when they get done.
Right. And those are all the 3 categories mixing together.
Going against each other.
Correct. Yeah. All 3 categories go against each other. And that's going to be the same thing every year for Memphis MA. We're the only ones that do it like that. I know the other events, the Memphis Barbecue Network events around town, they follow a similar format. Most of the year they don't do the on-site portion, though.
For preliminaries.
Right. So how do you decide which judges judge which category?
Okay. So years ago, we used to use an MS-DOS program. As you guys know, that has been way outdated for many years. When we used the MS-DOS program, we actually routed everything by hand. We do not do that anymore.
No, our software database that does all the math actually assigns the judges to their categories, and it's done at random.
Yeah.
So it's completely, there's no human manipulation involved in that. So it really is truly a blind assignment. The teams don't know who's coming. The judges don't know who they're going to get till that morning when they're handed their cards.
Yeah, and we do not tell them until that morning who they're going to get that day. And actually, they don't even know until they're about to walk out to the team who they get.
Yeah, we just felt that was the most fair way of doing that, so that, one, if we're no longer here and there's representatives that come up behind us that don't know how to do that manual assignments, which is a lot, and it's a lot of work, to be honest with you. It takes days to do that at that volume of judges. This just made it very much simpler just to hit assign judges, and then it spits out a report.
Right, so all the judges have to be prepared and trained for all the different categories, the pork and as well as the other categories at Memphis MA, like the anything but and the sauces and all that. So talk about, y'all also run the specific training for the Memphis MA judges.
Yeah, we host.
What is that like?
We host a judging seminar every year. It's not bad. It smells really good there. I won't lie. So the training seminar, we teach you about the anatomy of a pig, as we say, from
don't say it.
I'm not going to say it. From the front to the back. There's a million ways you can say that. I got in trouble for saying that on live TV once, so we won't go there.
Yeah, he made Bron Childers blush.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. Anyway, so we teach them about the anatomy of the pig, and then we kind of teach them about where the parts that you're judging come from, because most people don't necessarily know that the shoulder is the front leg of the pig. Mm-hmm. Some people do, some people don't. The ham is the back end of the pig. Not everybody necessarily knows that. So we teach them that. We show them where loin ribs come from, which are our baby back ribs, which is what you most commonly see in Memphis in May. And then we show them where spare ribs come from and all the different parts of the pig. And then after that, we kind of break down the judging process, how it works. We teach them, kind of what they should be looking for without actually telling them, because we don't want to influence them, really, because judging is an independent activity. I say that till I'm blue in the face. We don't want them talking about the entries in front of them until they're done judging. So I don't want, my flavor profile to influence the judge next to me. So, and that we try to tell them that, it really is an independent activity. You don't necessarily have to agree with the guy next to you.
It's not a jury.
It's not a jury. It's not like you have to have a consensus at the table, which that's where all the craziness comes in, is because eventually there is consensus at the table because we get our top 3 teams, and typically those teams are chosen by everyone as their favorite.
Right. So it's a really meaningful win.
It is. It's not an easy thing to win a grand championship at Memphis in May, or even to make the finals. You have to be literally almost perfect. There's almost no way you can mess anything up. That means you have to get 10s from all your on-site judges, and you have to win your blind table. That's not an easy thing. And we kind of explained that to the judges in the seminar about how difficult it is and how that it's not such a simple task. But you're there to have a good time and you're there to enjoy some great barbecue. But it is serious. So we try to explain that to them and really make sure they have a clear picture of what they're going to.
We do some demonstrations. That's like what an on-site presentation looks like, so they know what to expect. And then we also have a, blind demonstrations thing. See what the blind table looks like. We have some little, role play situations there, and that helps them learn as well. And then, hopefully they sign up to judge that year and they get some more, time to learn.
I've definitely thought about going through the training process. I've judged some other food competitions in the past, so.
We would love to have you. As soon as we know the dates next year, I'll shoot them over to you.
Awesome. I know you were saying like anyone who is loves Memphis, loves barbecue, can go through this training.
A foodie.
Foodie. Get qualified.
Anybody who likes to eat barbecue is a great barbecue judge. We love people from Memphis to judge the World Championship. I think it's great when we have a lot of Memphians there because
it's Memphis.
It's Memphis.
Yeah, but you do have people from all over.
We do. We
have people from Germany, England, Australia, Canada.
Yeah, we have them worldwide, and then I think this year we have about 20 states represented in our judging pool.
So how many judges are there?
This year there's 290.
290
over the 3 days.
Yeah.
How many do you want every year? Sorry, Holly.
No, go for it.
In a full capacity year, we usually need at least 300 for the whole weekend, especially on Saturday.
Like that's if you have like 250 teams or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it really, the number of judges correlates to the number of teams very much. We have to have a certain number or we can't run our on-site judging because you have to have one.
I mean,
you have to have one judge for team. It's the teams and the judge number have to
really align.
All right, and this year there's 129
teams.
129 teams at Memphis in May. Mm-hmm. Okay. Take a quick little beat here to remind people that they're listening to the Daily Memphian Sound Bites podcast with me, Holly Whitfield. Today we're talking with Brandon and Michelle O'Gwen. They own Ain't Life Catering Company, which is also their competition cooking team name. They serve as vice chairs for judging for Memphis in May barbecue, a judge liaison to the competition teams, all-around barbecue experts. If you are listening right now on WYXR, keep listening for The Sidebar with Daily Memphian CEO Eric Barnes. He's talking to Ned Canty and Dennis Whitehead-Darling from Opera Memphis after this. If you're listening through your podcast app, be sure to subscribe and rate us. Natalie Van Gundy needs reading material. Send us your reviews.
Very true.
We will read them. Let's keep talking about barbecue. I am going to ask the spicy question. Before I do that, I will clarify all of this work that you have described in the training of the judges, creating the system, Michelle, and running everything on those days. This is all a volunteer thing that you do. You're not employees of Memphis in May.
No, we are not.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Some people call us suckers.
But so obviously you love Memphis in May and you love the organization, but you're not employed by them. So just making sure that that's clear. I know that Memphis in May is a nonprofit. That makes sense. So Smoke Slam barbecue competition is coming up. We've talked about it on the podcast. If you've read the Battle of the Barbecue newsletter, you know it's like competing competitions. It's a weird situation. But I want to ask y'all, what has been the reaction from like within the cooking and judging community? There's certainly tension from these organizations, leaders, and like general public, snarky people online. But like, what do the actual people that actually make these things happen feel about having these two different ones and the changing of the venues that you've heard?
Well, I'll jump on this for a second.
Okay.
This is a big grenade to jump on for any Memphian right now.
Thank you for doing it in advance.
I will say this. Most of the people who are actively involved in putting on the contests on both sides are friends. Mm-hmm. We've all been friends for decades now.
We've worked with each other.
We've worked with each other. We've done events with each other for years and years. So the people who are actually putting on the contest, the MBN, World Food Championships, us. We all have a great working relationship. We've worked together for years.
And we support each other.
We all support each other. I wish them nothing but the best, and I know they have that same feeling. As a Memphian, there's some other things that you see online. You see a lot of negativity surrounding both festivals.
Right.
There's a lot of very vocal people from both camps.
I call them passionate.
They're very passionate. And as a Memphian, I understand both sides. I understand why everybody's passionate about it. I do. It's a Memphis tradition. Let's be honest.
Generations of cooks.
It's not called Barbecue Fest. It's the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest. But you won't meet a Memphian that doesn't call it Barbecue Fest. It's because it's ingrained in our culture. Beale Street Music Fest. That's been ingrained in our culture since I was a child. That was the event every year. I don't understand everybody getting quite as up in arms over everything as they have. There's been a lot of negativity spread back and forth.
I think it's a lot of liquid courage with keyboard warrior combos.
I agree. A lot of people would definitely not say this to anyone else's face. And a lot of people that are saying the stuff, they have no dog in the fight. They're not on a team. They don't know anybody on a team. They're not competing. They're not involved with it. So, I understand the passion from both sides. As a longtime Memphis and May person, honestly, I wish they would have picked a different date.
Yeah.
I think it would benefit our city more.
Michelle said you want to cook.
I do. It's like I tell people, that's the only barbecue contest that I don't cook every year is Memphis in May. It's the only one that I can't cook because I run it.
Right.
So another opportunity in May would have been great for us.
So another opportunity would have been great. And if it not be May, it doesn't really matter to me. I really think that it behooves the city, if we're going to have multiple large-scale barbecue contests, which we are more than perfectly capable of doing. Memphis is the barbecue capital of the world, in my opinion. There's no reason we can't put on multiple large contests every year and make the city tons of money for tourism and everything. Anytime that we don't have a full downtown, you don't have hotel occupancy above 75, 80%. Your downtown restaurants and bars aren't busy. Your midtown restaurants and bars aren't busy. It's hurting nothing but the city.
Right.
And that's what sucks. Aside of that, I wish everybody the best.
Yeah, it's going to be a big weekend.
It is.
It's going to be big. And, there's 129 teams at Memphis in May. I think the last I saw there were 59 or 60 teams at Smoke Slam. And I bet you there's some overlap with some people that would have done both. Some people could.
There are several teams doing both.
How are they going to do that?
Well, I think they're crazy, but they got big teams and they got a bunch of really great pit masters.
Divide and conquer.
Well, like you said, we told you a lot of these are several smaller barbecue teams combining together. So these are guys that compete against each other year round, and they know that they have great product. They can send one guy from one contest and one guy to the other contest, and they got a shot at winning $300,000 that
between
weekend.
the two.
Between the two, if they do that.
Will they compete under the same team name?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 teams that are doing that. You can look.
We're going to talk about
both
that
lists
after
online.
this podcast.
What's the average expense, if you had to guess, that these teams put into competing?
For Memphis in May, we would say the average is
I'd say that the average is about
$30,000.
No, I would say the real end average, if you really count all the party money and all that, yeah, it's close to 20 or 30,000. Entry fees and everything, it's more down in the 10 neighborhood.
Then you get your meat.
And then and the meat cost is where it really gets crazy. Because the guys that are cooking whole hog, these hogs are $600 to $900 per hog.
And they're going to have
they do that 2 or 3,
at least 2. Most of them. A lot of these guys now are cooking 3 and 4. And then all the shoulders are $200 a piece, and you got to cook 12 of them.
Sorry, my eyes are wide. I know you can't see that.
And the ribs is the same way. I mean, a couple of cases of ribs, which is what most of these guys are cooking for Memphis in May. That's at least $400 to $500 a case for the high quality pork that they cook.
Right.
Talk about the liquor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the liquor bill. That's a whole nother story. That's what sponsors are for, though. Thank you to all the sponsors.
Yes. I mean, when you start talking about it this way and the sponsors and all the work that goes into it, it makes a little more sense why people are not just inviting everybody on Earth into their tents to experience the barbecue.
It is that is the one thing that's been the misconception for years, and if you don't know somebody, it's not necessarily easy to enjoy Barbecue Fest, but now they've actually made a lot of strides in it. This year, our Barbecue Alley program has gotten quite a bit bigger at Memphis in May. They're doing some more live cooking demos. We've got the Future of Q coming in with National Barbecue and Grilling Association. It's a bunch of kids. They're going to come in and do cooking demonstrations.
Give out samples.
Give out samples to the public. That's going to, show you our next generation of cookers coming up.
I think they range from like ages of what, like 13 down to 9?
Down to 9. 9's the youngest. That's our son. That's
Your
Miles.
son?
Yeah, he's an award-winning burger and pork chop cook. He finished second place at the American Royal last year in Kids Burger and won a few pork chop contests. So he's going to demo his pork chops.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was really blown away by that. Like I said, that's pretty cool.
So talking about that, Michelle, we hadn't really got into. Y'all have won a bunch of cooking competitions. Tell me about the World Food Championships, the live fire. We did have a preliminary conversation about this, but tell me about that and what you cooked for that and where it was.
Okay, so last year, Dallas, Texas, November, World Food Championships, I competed in the live fire category and the Firewoman Challenge. The Firewoman, I came in 3rd place, and I did a pupusa street taco with flank steak.
Pupusa street taco with flank steak.
Yeah, it was pretty good, pretty yummy. And then the next day, I competed in the live fire category, which is no electricity. Everything is open pit, so it's charcoal wood. That's what you get to cook on. And that dish, our theme that we had to do was surf and turf, so it had to be seafood and a protein. Mm-hmm. So I went with what I called the balance of the force, because doing a perfect seafood and a perfect steak at the same time is really hard to do when you're balancing an act there. So I did a rolled ribeye cap over chimichurri sauce with a seared sea scallop with a white wine mushroom cream sauce. And I tried to plate it like the yin yang, because I'm geeky like that, I guess.
Yes.
That landed me, I had a perfect score with that dish. I think amazing. I cried like a baby on that one.
You did.
I'd cry eating that one.
It was really good.
It was that good,
I enjoyed practicing it at home, I'm not going to lie. So that put me onto the final round at World Food. So they take the top 7 people and they compete against each other again, and to see who's the champion of that particular category. That round, I wanted to do something a little bit outside the box because we had to use natural shrimp. And I went with paella. I did a big, giant pot of paella and only 90 minutes to do it, which is, hard if you've made paella to get that rice perfectly crispy. It's hard. I don't know if the judges understood it a little bit, but it landed me at 5th place. So I didn't tank at the bottom, but
no.
5th place in the world is better than dead last. So.
Yeah.
So that's
amazing.
So yeah, I'm back there this year. They moved World Food to Indianapolis this year. So I'll be in Indy competing in live fire, trying to take that number 1 spot.
I feel like your chances are pretty good.
I got a good team.
You were also telling me about another competition that y'all had been working on, kind of started, and this was for women pitmasters. How has that been going? Why did you decide that was something y'all needed to start?
That was a wine-induced idea.
Sure.
We were actually at someone's house teaching them how to cook ribs, weren't we?
I think so.
We were giving a little brief lesson with somebody, and we were having a drink, and we were just shooting the crap. And I was like, you know what? I'm really curious to see how many of these teams out here that their wives actually cook the ribs and the husbands are taking the credit for it. Mm-hmm. So we kind of did that as a way of poaching it out there. Last year we put it on. We think we organized it within 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, we whirlwind through that thing.
We did.
Together.
We threw it together real quick.
We did it in our yard. It was great.
Yeah. And so we put it together. We actually had 15 female pitmasters show up to that one. Some had never cooked before. Some have. Some had lessons the weekend before with their husbands. And it was just a good pool party day. The men were not allowed to help. They load the equipment in. They had to sit behind the gate and enjoy a pool party and relax. They were itching. They would just want to go see. And the women were like, this is so great. They're not nagging me.
Not hovering over.
Right. Not micromanaging me. It was great. And at the end of the day, we had a grand champion that day. And it was really awesome. So, and last year we donated any auction proceeds or whatever money we raised to Operation Barbecue Relief. Mm-hmm. This year, we picked a different charity. We're going to be supporting domestic violence victims. So it's going to be Northwest
It's
Mississippi
the Family
Crisis
Crisis
Center.
Service Center of North Mississippi. They do great work with women and children who are victims of domestic abuse.
So this year we are at capacity. We have 30 female pitmasters competing in this event this year, and prize money is starting to increase. We do it for no entry fee. We've got the ribs donated, so it's a low cost, fun thing for people to come do, get out of their shell. I think this year we have 3 women that have never cooked ribs before in their life. Brandon's giving them a crash course in a couple weeks.
Nice. Yeah.
Fun times.
And then we're just going to see. Hopefully, we get a new champion this year. Hopefully, I do.
Well, I'd say we probably will. We got ladies coming in from Florida, Maryland, Oklahoma, Mississippi, of course.
And when is it?
It is June 22nd.
Okay. Very cool. Well, maybe we'll follow up on that because I love that idea, and I loved your inclination, wine, brought on by wine or not, that maybe the wives, maybe the team helpers are doing some stuff too with them out there in front a little bit.
Get everybody outside their comfort zone.
Yeah. Okay. I know we may be over a little bit of time here, but I have to get y'all your barbecue tour, your Memphis barbecue tour. Where are you taking people when you're not cooking for them at home, which sounds like you do a lot?
So we have to preface that we usually feed people at the house instead of taking them out. But when we do take them out, let's see. My favorite places in town, I still love Cozy Corner. Like I said, the Cornish game hens down there, their chicken, all that stuff is incredible. The sausage and cheese plate down at the Rendezvous is still great. I mean, they're famous for that, I think.
Right.
You know, I love it. And it's kind of touristy, but when somebody comes in from out of town, you need to take them to the tourist spot. Leonard's is my absolute favorite. That's what I grew up eating. They just moved out east. They're in Cordova now. But their dry ribs and their pulled pork is some of the best I've ever eaten in a restaurant still.
Burger. Tops.
You got to go to Tops for a burger.
So y'all get the burger sans pulled pork, like just the burger.
Yeah. Their burger is better than their pork. And the pork's not bad.
I will say that every once in a while, though, I do get a craving for Tops. And you know what you're getting when you get Tops. You're getting that chopped up bark, and then you're going to get that weird color sauce.
Yep.
It's not like anything else you've ever eaten, and it's good every once in a while, you know. But that's a Memphis thing, and you're not going to get that anywhere else. Let's see. And then aside of that, if I really wanted to send them out to anything close to competition, I send them down to Memphis Barbecue Company down in Horn Lake. They do probably the closest to competition style barbecue that you'll find in a restaurant.
Yes, there's a lot of money and steps involved with getting competition flavor versus restaurant flavor. It is definitely a different animal. So if I make you competition barbecue versus taking it out, it's a big difference. Of course, like I said, it's in competition. We're trying to slam everything into the judge is going to get 1 to 2 bites, maybe.
Right.
Versus, you know, when you go to get barbecue, you're getting pounds of this stuff. You know, you get to enjoy lots of it instead of we got to wow them with 1 bite, and that's what makes it so difficult, I think. You know.
Well, you have certainly given us a lot to be hungry about and a lot to think about. Natalie, did you have any other questions?
I butted in enough.
Oh, no. I love it. I love it when you butt in. All the listeners love it. They're like, put Natalie on the mic. We're going to go ahead and close it out here. We are going to have, I've got a longer interview with the Oakwinds that I'm going to put into an article for next week for Battle of the Barbecue. We'll link sound bites again there. It'll just be all the Memphis barbecue love on the Daily Memphi in the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much for taking time out. I don't know how you have time to go on podcasts and do interviews and catering and everything that you do, but thank you for that time. Brandon and Michelle Oakwind, they're pitmasters, competition organizers, I'm going to say barbecue experts. You can tune in to WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 to hear sound bites or listen wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, dailymemphian.com. Thanks again. Bye, y'all.